The rebirth of a foolish beauty, a phoenix among the world. I am the one my legitimate sister says she clawed her way back from hell, carrying a blood-deep vendetta that I end this life. She will cut down her enemies with her own hands to me. I'm just a love-struck fool. Point one. After my sister fell into the water, she changed completely. Gone was her bright, warm smile. Now she had something terrifying in her gaze. Her eyes held something foreign and dangerous. Yet everyone around us insisted she had become more graceful and poised than ever. Point two. My sister is the daughter of my father, general pacifying the realm, and his first wife, a lady who passed away young, leaving behind a son and a daughter. Later, my mother, Princess Qingyang, knelt before the late emperor's palace gates for 2 days to beg for her marriage to fathered. I am the only child of the general and the princess. My very birth is peerless glory. My brother brings honor to the family name. My sister's reputation outshines all others, and our half siblings, born of concubines, have been raised to be harmless. No, I mean obedient and well-behaved. I just need to relax and be the second miss of the general's mansion. Some people are born at the top, like me. Point three. Today is Grand Empress Dowager's birthday banquet at the palace. Father and mother take my brother, my sister, and me to the feast. Somehow, that half-sister of mine manages to sneak in too. I pay her little mind that a concubine's child, unworthy of notice. Far more fascinating is my legitimate sister. She wears a cold, sly smile. When she catches me staring, she softens her face and takes my hand. Aju, tonight, don't leave my side. Understand, sweetheart? I happily hold her hand. Since her return from the water, she has treasured her hands, tending to them with great care. They feel so soft. Sister, is something going to happen tonight? I ask, all innocence. Her grip tightens. She seems to recall something awful, but afraid of frightening me. She says, nothing major, as long as I'm here. I won't let anyone harm you. I cling to her arm, coaxing. Then I promise I'll stick to you like glue. For what's going to happen at the palace banquet? I can hardly wait. Point five. Soon, the crown prince approaches, wine cup in hand. His face is like polished jade, his figure tall and lean that I'm drowsing against my sister's shoulder when I feel her whole body stiffen. Fusang, I was in waiting on your birthday and missed giving you a present. Forgive me? He smiles at my sister. What kind of gift must be presented right here in the great hall? With a graceful curtsy, my sister replies, many thanks, your highness, but my birthday has already passed. Perhaps you can give it next year. A clear refusal, rejecting both the gift and his overture. The crown prince's handsome face freezes. My drowsiness vanishes, replaced by my dedicated gossip face. Delicious, truly delicious. Just days ago, my sister and the crown prince had been all sweet affection. Now, in barely a few days, they're this distant. Fusang, are you still angry? I've told you, that girl you saw. I barely know her, the crown prince murmurs. Since I'm close, I can practically taste the drama. A faint red smile touches my sister's lips. Your highness misunderstands. You and I have nothing between us. Whoever you're with is none of my concern. The crown prince shakes his head, sighs dramatically, and says, Fusang, don't be so willful. Or what? I strain my ears, but he just walks away, feigning helplessness, typical royals, always leaving their sentences half-finished. My sister clenches her fists and sits down, face ashen. Not far off, our father and the emperor have gotten drunk and are hugging each other like sworn brothers. My mother is also seated cozily beside the Empress. Point six. Suddenly, my delicate, innocent half-sister pokes me, her voice tiny as a mosquito's. Second sister, my stomach hurts. I give her an odd look. Why tell me? I'm not the imperial physician. Her little face flushes scarlet. Second sister, I need to use the privy. Oh, so I'm blocking her way. I shift aside to let her pass. My sister watches her with a smile that reminds me of a cold snake. Little sister, remember that outside these halls you represent the face of the general's mansion. Don't cause trouble. Unlike the smile she gives me, this one makes me think of venom. Tears instantly spill down my half-sister's cheeks. She hangs her head and whimpers obediently. I think she looks pretty when she cries, so I want her to cry a little more. Sister jests. How could she possibly represent our family's face? My half-sister cries even more pitifully. 7 No sooner has my half-sister left than my sister says she'll take me to watch a good show. We tail her stealthily. After leaving the great hall, she twists and turns through the garden until she reaches the back of a rockery, where she flings herself into a pale yellow embrace. Well, isn't that the crown prince? Prince, she sobs. I glance at my sister's face, then recall my half-sister's. Impossible, her? I whisper. Unthinkable. Who feasts on delicacies every day and then develops a taste for plain gruel? My sister's beauty outshines the capital. Only I can barely compete with her. What is that half-sister of mine? And what's with this prince? My mother is the emperor's own sister, making the crown prince my true cousin by blood. Even I rarely call him crown prince brother. Aju will never betray you, sister, I say, tugging her arm. 8 Since we're here, we might as well see the whole show. My half-sister cries her heart out, her sobs soft and mournful, and not a trace of snot. Prince, Xiar has missed you so much. Dearest Xiar, have they been bullying you in the mansion again? The crown prince coaxes. It's not like that. Eldest sister has been very good to me. She even brought me to the palace banquet. This only angers the crown prince more. Xiar, you're too kind. Jiang Fusang is a snake at heart. She brought you to the banquet, but makes you wear a maid's clothes. Only then do I notice that Jiang Xia is indeed wearing a sky blue maid's dress, though the chest and waist have clearly been altered. How is that any kind of maid's dress? Soon, improper sounds come from behind the rockery. My sister and I exchange an awkward glance and retreat. When we return to the banquet, we find the feast has ended, and officials are saying their farewells. Suddenly, a scream rings out. A servant yells, "Fire!" The crown prince. The crown prince is still in the imperial garden. A few panicked voices cry. Everyone rushes toward the garden. My sister stands frozen, as if trying to recall something, murmuring, "Impossible in my last life. This didn't." But she quickly composes herself. If the crown prince and Jiang Xia are caught together, that works in her favor, too. The current emperor has no princesses, so I immediately take charge, exclaiming to the noble ladies, "Good ladies, the crown prince is still in the flames. What are we to do?" The Minister of Right's wife promptly responds, "At a moment of life and death, how could we abandon His Highness?" Her daughter is currently discussing marriage prospects, so she's probably eyeing the position of crown princess. Everyone, gather your maids and servants to fight the fire. People clamor. Families with daughters are really relentless. A crowd grabs water and rushes to the imperial garden. The fire isn't large, but the garden's dense foliage creates thick smoke everywhere. The crown prince and Jiang Xia are trapped in the blaze, terrified out of their wits, screaming without the slightest dignity. 9 Look at that. How foolish. That's what you get for sneaking around without guards or maids. See, when disaster strikes, you have to yell for help yourself. With everyone's efforts, the fire is soon out. But the crowd, seeing the disheveled crown prince and Jiang Xia, wishes they could unsee what they've seen. Little sister, what are you doing here? How could you and the crown prince My sister's eyes redden, and she points at Jiang Xia, speechless. The crown prince shoves Jiang Xia away and strides toward my sister. Fusang, you have to believe me. I did nothing. Jiang Xia, however, reacts quickly. She throws herself at my sister's feet, weeping. Eldest sister, please examine the truth. I was merely passing through the garden when I saw His Highness trapped in the fire, and I risked my life to save him. Why didn't I notice before that my half-sister is a real talent? The Empress rushes over. She had only left to escort the drunk emperor back to his chambers, and now returns to find her son has caused utter chaos, since your highness has already shared intimacy with her. I hope your highness will take responsibility, my sister says, red-eyed and wearing an expression of wounded dignity. The crown prince has never seen her like this and is utterly spellbound. The Empress firmly interrupts. In that case, this maid has performed a meritorious deed by protecting her master. She will be brought into the Eastern Palace as a concubine. At these words, Jiang Xia's face darkens. What maid? She's merely wearing a maid's clothes. But the Empress pays her no mind, instead warmly taking my sister's hand. Fusang, you know the crown prince's feelings for you. Don't let a maid ruin your bond. My sister directly kneels before the Empress. Your Majesty, forgive me. She is no maid, but my half-sister. The Jiang family has a strict ancestral rule. Sisters may never share a husband. It seems Fusang and His Highness are fated to part. I don't recall any such family rule, but after we return home, I can persuade father to add one. The Empress's face turns ashen as she finally shifts her gaze to Jiang Xia. Jiang Xia kneels on the ground, fragile and pitiful, rousing the crown prince's protective instincts. Mother, it was Xiaer. It was this young lady who saved me. 11 After returning from the palace, Jiang Xia was confined to her small courtyard to peacefully prepare for her wedding. That day, after we were escorted from the palace, my mother led Jiang Xia out with 2 clear handprints on her face. The daughter of the Jiang family, even a concubine's daughter, could never become a lowly concubine. Jiang Xia became a secondary consort to the crown prince. The Empress had slapped her, but still had to swallow her pride and commend her for saving the crown prince, calling her virtuous and quick-witted, or some such thing. But I soon lost interest. After all, my dear Junhe has returned. Junhe is the son of the prime minister, the most talented young man of our time, but he passed the imperial examinations with top honors at just 16, spent 2 years traveling and studying, and finally came back to the capital today. Early in the morning, I ordered my maid's eye to dress me that I gaze at my reflection in the mirror with satisfaction. If my sister is as magnificent and gorgeous as a peony, then I am as pure and lovely as a narcissus. My sister always says that when my doe eyes blink, she can't refuse me anything. I in high spirits. I apply lip rouge and put on a pure white dress. Just then, my sister knocks on my door. Sister, Junhe is back. How do I look in this? She forces a smile, but, too excited, I fail to grasp its meaning. Aju, go on. She pats my shoulder and leaves without another word. I adjust my collar and hairpins and ride the carriage to the prime minister's estate that I in the past. Its gates were always open for me. Today, the servant at the door says he must go in and announce me. A short while later, the servant invites me in. Before I reach Junhe's courtyard, I hear peals of silvery laughter. My face darkens as I push open the gate. Junhe, whom I haven't seen in 2 years, comes into view. He's grown even more handsome, tall, and upright as a pine, living up to his name, a noble crane among men. Junhe. But the voice calling isn't mine. It's a young woman perched in a tree. I'm going to jump. You have to catch me, okay? She says. Nonsense. Junhe replies, yet there's no displeasure in his tone that he looks at me. Aju, you've come that it's been a long time that you've grown taller. I smile and link my arm with his. Of course, Aju has been growing too. Junhe, who is this young lady? My name is Mo Xue. Hello there, big sister. She winks playfully at my maid's eye, immediately steps forward and scolds. How dare you? This is Princess Yanzhu. Pay your respects at once. The girl pouts in an affected, whimsical way and mutters something about feudal superstition. But she obediently curtsies. Miss, please don't stand on ceremony. A friend of my brother Junhe is a friend of mine, Jiang Yanzhu. Who knew the girl would laugh out loud, bold and unrestrained. Friend, I'm Chi Junhe's brother. I didn't look at her. I stared straight at Chi Junhe, that he showed no displeasure at her closeness. Brother Junhe, you've been away so long. Did you bring Aju any gifts? I forced myself to sound calm. Of course I did. Again, it was the girl who answered. When Junhe and I passed through a small town, he thought of you and spent ages choosing a silk fan from a street stall. Before she could finish, I slapped her across the face. Unbelievable, I was giving her face, and she flushed it down the drain. The fact that I'd held back this long already proved my excellent temper. This princess was speaking to Chi Junhe. Who do you think you are? So I rushed over and grabbed my hand. My lady, you mustn't, absolutely mustn't, leave filthy matters like this to your servant. Don't damage your hand. How can you just hit people? The girl's almond eyes were wide with disbelief. Hit you? Sure, do I need to pick an auspicious day? I rotated my wrist. The girl suddenly shot me a suspicious look. When the parody changes, the base doesn't. What gibberish about chickens and ducks? If the princess came here to strike people, she can leave. That my humble temple cannot house a great Buddha like her. Chi Junhe said coldly. That I stared at him in disbelief. Only 2 years, 2 short years. When he left, he had sighed and stroked my head, saying, Aju, grow up quickly. Wait for my return. People's hearts changed so easily that my fingertips trembled, that he no longer cared for me. There was no trace of Aju in his eyes, that a wave of dizziness washed over me. Brother Junhe has traveled a long way and needs rest. Zai. Let's go, I said, lowering my head. 12 After returning to the residence, I ran straight into my elder sister. The thing about grievance is, you mustn't run into someone close, or you won't be able to hold back the tears. I threw myself into her arms and cried until the front of her robes was soaked. That a long while later, I raised my head and asked, Sister, did you know all along? She sighed, sent all the maids and old serving women away, and pulled me down to sit. Aju, if I told you I've come back from Rebirth, would you believe me? Her eyes reddened, her gaze unfocused, as if she were recalling a long-distant past. In my last life, I never discovered Jiang Xia's affair with the crown prince. That on my wedding day, she set me up and consummated with him, and I had to grit my teeth and take her into the crown prince's residence as a concubine. Everyone whispered that the 2 Jiang daughters served one husband. It disgusted me to death. I thought I'd live out my life that way. But after the emperor died, Jiang Xia was made empress, and the crown prince threw me into the cold palace on the grounds that I had borne him no children. War broke out in the northwest. Empress Jiang Xia personally recommended father for the front lines. The whole court praised the empress for her great sense of justice, but she was sending father to his death. After father died, mother followed him. Brother lost an arm on the battlefield. You vanished without a trace. Our general's manor crumbled just like that. For 3 years in the cold palace, Jiang Xia came every day to torment me. She said, since brother lost an arm, I, as his sister, ought to part with one as well. My sister sobbed uncontrollably. I couldn't comfort her, but I hadn't lived through that dark time. My words had no power. Sister, what about Chi Junhe? I asked. Vanished. But there was a woman by his side named Mo Xue who entered the palace and fought Jiang Xia to a standstill. Every time Jiang Xia suffered at her hands, she'd come vent her fury on me. Sister, it's all over now. Everything is different. I patted her back as if soothing a child. My mother, Princess Chongqing, was a lovesick fool. 10 years father's junior. He had been the man she admired since childhood. Once she secured their marriage, he filled her heart and eyes completely. So, I was raised by my elder sister. 3 years older than me. She taught me to walk, taught me to eat. In my heart, sister is the most important person in the world. The other most important person is Chi Junhe. Even if he's betrayed me, I'm naturally like mother, a slave to love that I cannot give up. Chi Junhe. Loving or not loving isn't something you can control. Just like mother. As a child, she was seized by an assassin in the palace and saved by father. Then the captain of the palace guard. In that single glance, her entire life was lost to him. And me, at 10, climbing a tree in secret, losing my grip and falling into Chi Junhe's waiting arms. The peach blossoms fell thick and fast, but nothing compared to the brilliance of his face. Just like mother, I was lost. 13-inch Zhu. Now that Jiang Xia has wormed her way into the Eastern Palace, she's always been skilled at manipulating men. Once the crown prince ascends the throne, our general's manor will be hard to preserve, sister said. She paced slowly around the room. Zhu, I have an idea. Send that girl beside Chi Junhe into the crown prince's residence. Let them fight dog eat dog. That way, even if the crown prince takes the throne, Jiang Xia won't dare touch the general's manor so easily. Oh, my foolish sister. The crown prince might not be able to ascend the throne at all. Right? Let's do exactly that. I feigned an eager gleam in my eyes and threw myself into her arms. That way, there'll be no more annoying woman by brother Junhe's side, and Jiang Xia won't go after the general's manor either. For the next stretch, I listened as sister laid out her grand revenge plan. Interesting. Very interesting. My sister really is a beautiful fool. 14 The next morning, I rose early and went to brother Junhe's residence, bringing him pastries. Granted, I didn't make them. I just grabbed them from the kitchen, but it's the thought that counts, isn't it? Surely a noble lady like me isn't expected to cook personally. Arriving at the minister's residence, I silenced the page boy with a glance and barged straight in. Brother Junhe was practicing swordplay beneath the peach tree. His movements were lithe and vigorous, different from my father's bull-like frame. Junhe was tall but light on his feet. With that face, how could he not be the capital's most beautiful man? A pity our dynasty esteems martial prowess, and no one ranks men by their looks. I stood staring, entranced, for a while, until that wretched girl's voice reached my ears. Junhe, breakfast's ready. Mo Xue came out carrying a tray of morning dishes. Even from a distance, I could smell the aroma. The pastries in my hands instantly lost their appeal. The princess again. Junhe sheathed his sword and looked at me flatly. Though I'd braced myself, the coldness in his eyes still stung. Brother Junhe, Zhu has come to apologize for yesterday's incident. I offered a curtsy, lifting my doe-like eyes to gaze at him. Mo Xue immediately stepped in front of Junhe, blocking his view of me as if finding her action too abrupt. She smiled and said, "It's nothing that I forgive Zhu. Who's your little sister, moron? Zhu has come today especially to see brother one last time. From now on, I'm afraid it will be hard to meet again." As I said the word meet, 2 lines of tears slipped down my cheeks. Don't ask. I've practiced this. Chi Junhe still holds some sentiment for me. With a great beauty standing before him in tears, he can't remain entirely unmoved. What? His tone softened unconsciously. My aunt the Empress says she wants Aju to enter the palace and marry His Highness the Crown Prince. Aju may not be as old as Sister Mo Xue, but having been raised under mother's instruction, I know propriety and proper conduct from childhood. I cast a provocative glance at Mo Xue. Yes, that was a dig at her age and her lack of manners. If I marry the Crown Prince, Aju will take the Crown Prince as her heaven. It will become far too difficult to see Brother Junhe again. Chi Junhe's expression turned somewhat unnatural. You're still young, it's far too early to discuss marriage. Mother merely wants to settle my future early. The Crown Prince is my cousin by blood, a noble young man, and his looks rival Pan and himself. Mother is also afraid some other little girl might set her sights on him. Aju still remembers, in my younger days, I loved climbing trees. But it wasn't the climbing I loved. I was hoping Brother Junhe would pass beneath the peach blossoms once more. I spoke gently. The soft breeze lifted a few strands of my hair, and tender pink peach petals drifted into my palm that I looked into the distance, my gaze seemingly distant and dreamy at this moment. I must be devastatingly captivating that I don't know what Chi Junhe was thinking, but I know what Mo Xue was thinking. That half-smile of hers. Truly vexing to behold. I needed to hurry back and wash my eyes with a look at my sister. 15 That night, I headed straight for the moat that a flower boat parade was underway. Tonight on the moat, and I was there to meet someone very important. Prince Jiang Yanzhu, my third cousin, son of the late consort Chun. Third cousin is in good spirits, I said, appearing before him. The flower boats were filled with singing and dancing girls. No one paused on my account. Prince Jiang rubbed his eyes. Holy, why is it you? Third cousin doesn't want to see Aju. Jiang Yanzhu, let me tell you, don't come any closer. Don't make me throw up on your face. He mimed a retching gesture that I chuckled lightly. Cousin is so mean, still holding old grudges. Born to lose his mother, consort Chun, the emperor's white moonlight. Prince Jiang had been avoided by the grief-stricken emperor ever since. Raised instead at my mother's side that I grew up with Prince Jiang. I'm closer to him than to my own sister as a young girl. My sister often spent time at her maternal grandparents' home, but Prince Jiang was always with me. I'm warning you, don't give me that look. Prince Jiang looked like he was facing a formidable foe. I've known all along. You're a black-hearted white lotus. Jiang Yanzhu, what evil scheme are you hatching now? I batted my eyes innocently. I want you to become emperor. Prince Jiang sat down hard on the ground, then shot up, clamped his hand over my mouth, and dragged me away. 16 Back at the Prince Jiang residence, he exploded. Jiang Yanzhu, are you tired of living? How dare you say something like that? No one heard. I heard. Do you believe I won't report you? I laughed softly. Would anyone believe you? You're a venomous, black-hearted woman. He was on the verge of tears. Thank you, third cousin, for praising my beauty. Prince Jiang, 17. I spent a long time at Prince Jin's residence. When I returned to the general's manor, I found my sister sitting by the pond, utterly distraught that I rushed over. Sister, what's wrong? He's back. Aju, he's back. Her eyes were full of terror. The crown prince, he's been reborn too. Good heavens, you're all coming back in batches. Don't panic, sister. Tell me everything. Today the crown prince sent a calling card that I refused it, so he forced his way in. That look in his eyes, it was the gaze of an emperor from the past life. And he smiled at me, said, long time no see, you've really grown bold. Aju, I'm finished. The general's manor is finished too. Now we can only. She spoke in wild desperation. Our eyes met, and we said it at the same time. We can only have father resign and return home. Have father rebel. No need to guess. The latter was mine. My sister was raised on loyalty and patriotism. She's actually very clever, but she'd never dream of rebellion. As for me, loyalty and patriotism. I'm royalty myself. I am the sovereign. Sister and I parted on bitter terms. 18 The very day after my quarrel with sister, my maid informed me that Prince Li was dead. Prince Li was the emperor's eldest son and the one man who could rival the crown prince. The crown prince had always been on bad terms with him. First, sister tells me the crown prince has been reborn, and then his greatest rival, Prince Li, drops dead. If this had nothing to do with him, I wouldn't believe it even if you beat me to death. But what I couldn't understand was, the emperor's health is perfectly robust right now. Why is the crown prince making such a big move? Before long, Prince Jean came barreling in. Jiang Yanzhu, Prince Li is dead. I gave him a look of mild disgust. He's a prince, so why so flighty? It's over. I'll be next. Prince Jean whined piteously. His pitiful look was actually kind of cute. He told me that Prince Li was found dead in a pleasure house, that a prince of the realm dying in such a filthy place. An utter disgrace. Baiyu, stay here with me for these next few days, I said abruptly. Perhaps because I hadn't used his name in so long, Baiyu's eyes went wide. That's not out of the question, Baiyu blurted, then shot me a sly, sidelong glance. Shut it, I snapped, flushing with anger and embarrassment. This noble lady is merely offering you a place of refuge. Baiyu's eyes flickered. I knew it that you'd never stoop to my level. Fine. A venomous woman like you. Being near you is definitely safe. 19 in just a few days, my elder sister had wasted away. Cold War or not, I couldn't bear to see her like this. I had the kitchen pack some pastries and went to visit her myself. My sister's mental fortitude was genuinely flimsy. Even Rebirth hadn't toughened her up. The moment I stepped into her jade garden court, I heard furtive rustling behind me. I turned. Several men in black robes, masked, only their eyes showing. Obviously up to no good. The leader was tall and burly, with a pair of fierce tiger eyes that looked vaguely familiar. Wasn't that the crown prince? Oh, please. Did he actually believe a mask would hide who he was? I lifted my voice in full drama mode and shrieked. Guards. Assassins. Luckily, I have a strict rule. If I go out after dark, I bring my entire personal guard. The crown prince and his men were hopelessly outnumbered and quickly captured alive. I wailed. Where did this shameless rogue come from? Breaking into our laundry quarters in the dead of night. Beat him. I couldn't very well say they'd broken into Jade Garden. My Ajia had her reputation to consider. The crown prince was pummeled black and blue before he finally lost patience and yelled, Stop! It's me. I'm the crown prince. I pushed the guards aside with exaggerated horror. Crown prince brother, how could it be you? Everyone, stop right now. He scrambled up, tore off his mask, his face dark as the bottom of a wok. Before he could get a word out, I pinned the blame on him first. Crown prince brother, why are you sneaking into my laundry yard at this hour? Oh, I see. You must have heard we have a new maid who's a real beauty. I completely understand. I winked suggestively. The crown prince swallowed his rage. Azu, I came to see your elder sister. She didn't tell you? She's been restless lately and went out to pray at a temple. I lied smoothly. He seemed oddly pleased by the word restless. A wicked smirk curved his lips. Then please tell your sister Fusang. She owes me something, and I will personally collect it sooner or later. Crown Prince brother, does my sister owe you money? How much? I'll pay it back for her. No way, a mighty crown prince coming to collect debts in the middle of the night. His retreating, princely silhouette stumbled .20 inside Jade Garden. I instructed the servants to keep the lamps dark tonight and go to bed early. Who knew if the crown prince would sneak in again? My sister lay in bed, so frail, her thin frame even more gaunt. Seeing me, she sat up, still in her clothes. Azu, in my last life I was tormented so terribly that I'm so afraid. When I saw the crown prince had been reborn too, my fear reached its peak, that I'm terrified. Terrified this life will end the same way, that our general's mansion will meet the same doom. She hugged her knees, trembling that I placed a finger gently over her lips to stop her. Jia, let me ask you this. Are you afraid of Jiang Xia? If Jiang Xia were reborn, would you be as frightened as you are now? Her eyes were lost. I wouldn't. But Jia, in your last life, the one who tormented you was Jiang Xia. The one who schemed against our house was also Jiang Xia. The crown prince at most was cold and heartless. He simply stood by and did nothing. Why dare you hate Jiang Xia, but not the crown prince? Why dare you strike against Jiang Xia, but never scheme against the crown prince? You are the legitimate daughter of the general's estate. Your elder brother is a general of the cavalry. Your maternal grandfather is the minister of works. You were raised by Princess Qingyang. Your younger sister is the only commandery princess. What do you have to fear? She had thought of resisting, but only to deal with Jiang Xia and stay away from the crown prince. The crown prince was a ruler, a man. Since ancient times, men had always lorded it over women, and no matter how clever she was, she had only ever fought within the inner courtyard. Stop. Azudat, I'm too weak. Even with Rebirth, I still don't have the courage. She broke down sobbing that I wrapped her in my arms and whispered, Jia, you don't have to be so strong, because I'm here. 21 A few days later, Bayu came to take his leave that I asked. Was your stay here not comfortable? He said, a man must not hide away in a woman's inner chambers. I was just about to praise his ambition when he added softly, unless that woman would allow me to hide here a lifetime. Classic. Bayu donned armor and left with my legitimate brother for the Northwest. My brother, aware of the rebirth, already knew war was coming there. After Bayu left, the entire capital grew dreadfully dull. .22 as the year drew to a close. Jiang Xia and the crown prince's marriage moved forward. Once her confinement was lifted, Jiang Xia came to flaunt her position to my sister. I slapped her right back to her own courtyard, and she didn't dare show her face for days. That my principle has always been. Speak human to humans, and talk ghost with ghosts. With people like Jiang Xia, I barely bother with sarcasm. Still, my good mood was soon spoiled. Mo Xue had latched onto the crown prince. Yes, that strange and artful Mo Xue that I knew my little barb visit back then had its use. Predictably, she immediately set her sights on the noble, peerlessly handsome crown prince that I've seen plenty of women like her. They only want to snatch another woman's man, as if stealing someone else's husband were some great honor. The moment no one else is fighting for him, they lose interest. Mo Xue's status was too low to be a consort. She could only enter the crown prince's residence as a bedwarmer. Yet word was she quickly won his favor. Looking at Jiang Xia's eager face, her eyes already glinting with harem schemes, I thought it was a match made in heaven. Let two women who love stealing other people's men tear each other apart. My money's on Jiang Xia. After all, she's my only sister. 23 After Mo Xue's departure, Chi Junhe suddenly seemed to snap awake, paying me daily visits. My sister declared the plot had changed. That I looked at his perfect face and realized I was still not over him. That a foolish heart truly can't be controlled. But I ignored him. Please, This time it was a Mo Xue. Next time it might be a Bai Xue, or a Hong Xue. After that point 24 in spring, I came of age, a flower in full bloom. That my elder sister declared me the most beautiful woman daily. How annoying. She always insists on speaking such blunt truths. My coming of age ceremony. But you sent me a gift that I unwrapped layers of packaging to find a simple, plain bracelet. That stingy boy. My sister became engaged to the new top scholar, a slow-witted, dull fellow that I in my eyes. He was utterly unworthy. He simply lucked out. If the crown prince hadn't been eyeing her, I would never have allowed that fool to marry my Agia. I hadn't expected that once my sister was betrothed, the crown prince would suddenly turn his gaze onto me. Who knew what had gotten into him? He was always hovering near, and since I couldn't beat him, I only acted like I was too dense to catch his meaning. Azu, this bracelet is lovely. It makes your skin look like cream, the crown prince said. Ah, this was something I found squatting over a latrine pit. Does crown prince brother like it? His face twitched. The mountain has trees, and the trees have branches. My heart yearns for you, though you know it not. Azu is such a block of wood. He recited, please. His eyes didn't look the least bit tender. They were frankly unsettling. What does that mean, crown prince brother? I'm terrible at studied. My mother has beaten me black and blue over it. Time and again, you've no idea. Perhaps recalling some awkward memory, the crown prince rubbed his nose and left. The moment he was gone, Chi Junhe appeared, looking at me with pained sorrow. Azu, how could you sink so low? You weren't like this before. Have you really abandoned decency for wealth? Willing to become a disgraceful sister, sharing one husband? Chi Junhe was still so beautiful. If only he were a fool, he'd be perfect. 25 After Prince Li's death, several other princes emerged one after another, only to be brutally suppressed by the crown prince. Several were already crippled. The crown prince seemed to reign supreme. But the emperor would never allow the crown prince to grow so powerful that he threatened the throne. He secretly began reining him in. The court situation shifted by the day, but I saw it clearly. The crown prince had been emperor for many years in his past life, the man above all others. Now reborn as merely one man beneath the sun of heaven, how long could he stomach it? A throne could be handed over willingly, but never allowed to be seized as expected. The emperor struck back by promoting the sixth prince, Bai Yin, a little boy barely 10 years old. The emperor had 6 sons. The eldest Prince Li was dead. The second was the crown prince. The third, Prince Jean, had run off to the northwest. The fourth and fifth had been crippled by the crown prince. That left only poor little sixth prince, who hadn't even worked out who his rivals were. He just trotted behind the crown prince all day, calling second brother, blissfully oblivious. Poor little 6.26. On the day my sister married the new top scholar, the streets were decked with miles of red silk. My sister was a noble daughter worth her weight in gold, and even this spectacle felt insufficient to me. The night before the wedding, I secretly went to see that little scholar behind her back. The crown prince arrived to observe the rites, bringing Jiang Xia and Mo Xue. The two women put on a perfect show of sisterly affection, but the gleam of murder in their eyes was unmistakable. That I heard that Mo Xue's body had already been ruined by Jiang Xia's schemes, leaving her barren. Mo Xue's counterattack, though, was equally impressive, as she'd recently invented some kind of scented soap, earning the crown prince a tidy fortune and slapping Jiang Xia's face with it. The crown prince stared at me, grinning. Younger sister Azu, you grow lovelier by the day. The position of my crown princess will always be yours for the taking. He had become rather blunt. Jiang Xia was, after all, My half-sister, I went with her to help our sister dress and prepare. Jiang Xia suddenly remarked. Elder sister is truly blessed. The new top scholar is so handsome that even second sister, who has seen her share of beauties, has had her eyes dazzled. My sister gazed at herself in the bronze mirror, not sparing Jiang Xia a glance. Jiang Xia pressed on. Last night, I happened to see second sister sharing a moonlit drink with the new top scholar. Getting to know your future brother-in-law early, I suppose? Elder sister and second sister share such a deep bond. My sister touched up her lip rouge, then parted her red lips. Jiang Xia, don't force me to slap you on my wedding day. Jiang Xia's face turned ashen. It was true I'd gone to see the scholar the previous night, but how Jiang Xia caught wind of it, I couldn't fathom. I looked toward my sister and met her gentle, trusting gaze. The same way she had always looked at me. 27 Disaster struck fast and brutally. Just as my sister's sedan chair was lifted and the groom climbed onto his tall horse, an arrow whistled in. The groom toppled off, dead before he hit the ground. Screams erupted. The crowd scattered. The whole street thrown into chaos. My sister threw back her bridal veil and scrambled out of the sedan. Her trembling fingers reached for the groom. A long, gut-wrenching wail finally tore from her. I pulled her back. She sobbed, throwing herself onto the body. I should have known. How could he ever let me go? I never imagined he'd strike at you. I had the matrons knock her out and carry her away. The next day, my sister dressed in mourning white and knelt at the palace gates. Your Majesty, your servant has been wronged. I come to accuse the crown prince. Her words were steeped in blood and tears. The crown prince strolled past her, smiling carelessly. Jiang Fusang, beg me, and I'll take you in. After all, a night as husband and wife. My sister spat straight in his face. Enraged, the crown prince kicked her, knocking her to the ground. Jiang Fusang, listen well. Your dongling died because of you. What I can't have, I'd sooner destroy than let anyone else possess. My sister lay on the ground, unable to rise for a long time. The emperor flew into a towering rage and immediately summoned the crown prince. Though my father was away on campaign, he still had connections at court, and my sister's maternal grandfather would step forward. Countless impeachment memorials piled up on the dragon desk. The emperor hurled one at the crown prince's head, splitting open his temple. Blood trickled. The crown prince gave a careless bow, denying any involvement. My sister's grandfather, the minister of works, promptly presented evidence. The crown prince offered a sinister smile. This evidence is forged that I never ordered the murder of the new top scholar. I am your Majesty's only surviving adult son. Father you truly refuse to believe your own flesh and blood. He had grown arrogant and stupider. The emperor was near apoplexy. Clutching his chest, he steadied his breathing. Then, as if making some momentous decision, he murmured to an attendant. The eunuch's shrill voice rang out. Summon the Prince of Jin to court. The crown prince sneered dismissively. Bai strode into the hall. How much he had changed. His once jade-like skin had coarsened and darkened under the harsh northwestern sun. Yet, had Bai always been this handsome? How could a man become even more striking after getting darker? His hawk-sharp eyes locked onto mine, his Adam's apple bobbing slightly. In all my life, nothing ever daunted me. But under that gaze Lady Yanzhu, unflappable as I was, felt my composure crack. Damn, he was gorgeous. The emperor studied the Prince of Jin, a storm of complex emotions passing over his face. The prince had achieved great merit in the Northwest, quelling unrest with his pen, leading charges with his sword. His prestige now rivaled my brother's, nearly matching my father's. The Prince of Jin knelt with elegant grace. Your son pays his respects. The Emperor smiled broadly. Good, good, good. Now this is what it means to be a true son of mine. The Crown Prince scoffed. Are you mistaken, father? The Prince of Jin is nothing but a bastard sired by the late consort Chun. What noble lineage does he have? That explained why the Crown Prince had been so reluctant to move against the Prince of Jin all along. The Emperor swept everything off his desk. Mindless cur, this is your third brother. My elder sister spat directly in his face. The Crown Prince, furious, kicked her. Jiang Fusang, let me tell you, your precious Dongling died because of you. If I can't have something, I'd rather destroy it than let anyone else have it. My sister lay on the ground, unable to rise for a long time. The Emperor flew into a rage and immediately summoned the Crown Prince. My father was away on a military campaign, but we still had connections at court. Besides, my sister's maternal grandfather would speak up for her. Countless memorials piled up on the imperial desk. The Emperor grabbed one at random and hurled it at the Crown Prince, striking him on the forehead. Blood streamed down at once. The Crown Prince offered a careless bow and said the matter had nothing to do with him. My sister's maternal grandfather, the Minister of Works, promptly presented the evidence. The Crown Prince gave him a sinister smile. This evidence is fake. I never ordered anyone to kill the top graduate of the imperial examinations. I am the only adult son of the Emperor. Father, are you truly unwilling to believe your son? He really had grown too cocky and stupider. The Emperor was nearly mad with rage, clutching his chest for a long while. Then, as if arriving at a momentous decision, he gave a few instructions to the eunuch. The eunuch's shrill voice rang out. Summon the Prince of Jin. The Crown Prince let out a contemptuous laugh. Baiyu strode into the great hall that he had changed so much. His once fair, exquisite skin had been roughened by the wind and sand of the northwest. But when had Baiyu become so handsome? Could someone actually get better looking by getting darker? Baiyu's hawk-like eyes locked onto me, his Adam's apple bobbing. I, Princess Yanzhu, who have never feared anything since childhood, actually crumbled under that gaze. Good heavens, that was hot. The Emperor looked at the Prince of Jin with a complicated expression. This time, the Prince of Jin had achieved great merit in the northwest. With his civil skills he had stabilized the region. With his martial prowess he had fought on the front lines. His prestige there now surpassed even my brother's and rivaled my father's. The Prince of Jin knelt with elegant grace. Your son pays his respects. The Emperor smiled broadly. Good, good, good. Now this is what it means to be a true son of mine. The Crown Prince scoffed. Are you mistaken, father? The Prince of Jin is nothing but a bastard sired by the late consort Chun. What noble lineage does he have? So that was why the Crown Prince had been so reluctant to move against the Prince of Jin all along. The Emperor swept everything off his desk. Mindless cur, this is your third brother. Since this involved the dignity of the imperial family, the ministers all lowered their eyes and held their breath, not daring to make a sound. The Crown Prince flicked his gaze, and several elderly ministers immediately cowed out, banging their heads on the floor. Your Majesty, think twice. The imperial bloodline must not be sullied. Mindless fools, if the Prince of Jin is of my seed, don't you think I would know? Your intent is treason. The Emperor was quite formidable when he argued. The Prince of Jin knelt and kowtowed, then said, Your son uncovered some interesting individuals while searching the army. Please, father, take a look. Several men with hoods over their heads were dragged in. They turned out to be guards of the 4th and 5th princes. Although their faces had been disfigured, they were still barely recognizable. These scoundrels were trying to flee the country when I captured them. Among their belongings, we found letters from the Crown Prince. The moment these guards were brought out, the Crown Prince had already panicked. He had clearly sent men to kill them. The guards prostrated themselves and confessed everything that as it turned out, they were the ones responsible for crippling the fourth and fifth princes. According to their account, the Crown Prince had seized their families and threatened them into killing the fourth and fifth princes. However, out of loyalty, they couldn't bring themselves to murder their masters. They could only cripple them to remove them from the succession, hoping the Crown Prince would then let them go. Naturally, the Crown Prince had no intention of sparing them. Everyone knows the saying, if you don't pull out the roots, the grass will grow back when the spring wind blows. They had no choice but to flee to the border with the evidence. The guards wept and sobbed, painting themselves as innocent victims that I had no idea whether the emperor would believe them, but I was pretty sure the fourth and fifth princes wouldn't. The emperor's lips quivered with rage. If the Crown Prince could kill his brothers, next time he'd kill his own father. He immediately deposed the Crown Prince, threw him straight into the dungeons, and appointed the Prince of Jiang as the new Crown Prince. 28 The deposed Crown Prince was locked up, still shouting and yelling at him. Why people reported that he had gone mad, ranting that it was impossible, that his concubine Mo Xue had told him he was the protagonist of this world and would eventually ascend the throne. I knew it was time to catch up on gossip again, so I went straight to the prison and had his concubine Mo Xue brought out. My half-sister Jiang Xia and Mo Xue were locked up together, pulling each other's hair. When Jiang Xia saw me, she crawled over in tears, begging me to save her. A half-sister who doesn't even have any gossip to offer wants me to save her. My maid's eye efficiently pulled Mo Xue out. Before I could even speak, she was already applying torture. Don't try any tricks. Confess honestly. Zai barked, clutching a leather whip and glaring fiercely. I was convinced she had completely immersed herself in the role of some fictional villain. Her grin was chilling. Mo Xue remained arrogant. As you can see, I'm a transmigrator. I come from a modern society 2,000 years in the future. What a strange woman. She seemed to not understand the principle that a mighty dragon cannot crush a local snake. Even if her words were true, she had arrived in a strange world, yet dared to be so unbridled, and moreover, she wasn't even a mighty dragon. Don't be smugged out. If you kill me, I'll just go back to the modern world. Next time I transmigrate, I'll come back to this world and take revenge. Mo Xue's smile was malicious. Miss Mo Xue must be joking. Zai, untie Miss Mo Xue at once. I snapped coquettishly. Without a word, Zai quickly untied Mo Xue and began apologizing. Miss Mo Xue, please forgive this servant for failing to recognize your eminence, I said. Miss Mo Xue was merely implicated by the deposed Crown Prince. Zai, give her some silver for her journey and escort her out. As you command. Zai lowered her eyes. Mo Xue didn't seem to believe we'd let her off so easily at first, but then she brightened up and muttered something about heroine's halo. Zai and I exchanged a smile. 2 days later, Zai informed me the matter was taken care of. I picked up Mo Xue's keepsake, a fine-quality jade pendant, and crushed it in my fingers. After being set free that day, she hadn't even fled the capital, but had settled in a villa. That very night, the people Zai sent killed her. She probably never knew, even in death, who had killed her. 29. After the former Crown Prince was deposed, I breathed a sigh of relief and lazed around for a few days. Just as I was about to continue my slothful ways, someone pulled me out of my bed. By you, his ears bright red, grabbed my arm, and told me to put on my clothes properly. Seriously, How am I supposed to get dressed with you holding me? I rolled my eyes at him and sat up, still in my bedclothes. Third cousin, have you forgotten? I've already come of age. How dare you barge into a maiden's chamber? Bai Yu let out a cold snort, but his voice sounded a little aggrieved. You've been avoiding me for 3 days. Jiang Yanzhu. I knew it. You're a venomous woman. The crown prince's downfall may look like it had nothing to do with you, but in reality, you orchestrated the whole thing. I cleaned out my ear. Your Highness the Crown Prince, please don't slander people without proof. I hadn't expected this, that I thought I had covered my tracks pretty well, but someone had seen through everything. At the palace banquet, you were the one who set the fire in the imperial garden. You arranged for Mo Xue to enter the crown prince's mansion. You incited Zhang Fusang to lodge a complaint before the throne. You wove one plot into another, gradually indulging the crown prince while slowly dismantling his power. Your own sister, my father, and even me, we were all just pawns in your game. Bai Yu said, staring me in the eyes. Is His Highness here to call me to account? I asked coldly that if he wanted to tear off all pretenses, I wasn't afraid of him. Call you to account? He chuckled softly, then lifted my chin and pinched my cheek. Not to call you to account, to threaten you. Jiang Yanzhu, I want you to marry me. Let me tell you, I, Jiang Yanzhu, am no pushover. What? I cleaned my ear again. What was this dog saying? His ears still red. He let go of my face, pulled a simple jade hairpin from his robe, awkwardly stuck it in my hair, and then fled through the window. Extra 1. Bai Yu. 1. My name is Bai Yu. Son of the late consort Chund, I have 2 big secrets. First secret. I am not the Emperor's biological son, that my mother and the Emperor grew up together. But she was of low birth and could not marry him as his principal consort at that time. The Emperor was in the critical stage of vying for the throne, and the Empress Dowager forcibly separated them. That my mother was a proud woman and married my biological father, a brilliant scholar from a humble background. Later, my father died as my mother was grieving. My father's uncouth relatives from the backwater countryside came to harass her. The Emperor couldn't stand it and brought her directly into the palace, bestowing the title Consort Chun. That I'm truly grateful to the Emperor that I'm not his child, yet he tolerated me. But my mother was pregnant with me and refused to abort. The Emperor reluctantly acknowledged me, but he didn't want to see me. So he sent me to the princess's mansion to be raised by the eldest princess. I followed the eldest princess from her mansion to the general's residence, watching her marry and give birth to a lovely daughter. My second secret is that I like Jiang Yanzhu to know. I love her. Who wouldn't fall for such a darling little dumpling? My position in the palace was always awkward. My brothers disliked me, and after my mother died, they bullied me even more. Yet that little dumpling always wore a sweet smile and would innocently tattle to the Emperor. Imperial uncle, today Aju saw big brother and third brother playing. He made third brother serve as his horse, but third brother is so small. What if big brother falls and dies? The Emperor, speechless, said, Aju, don't use the word die. Then he turned around and punished the eldest brother. Imperial uncle, second brother said third brother has a mother who gave birth to him, but no mother to raise him. What does that mean? Second brother. Deceased. Point 2. As I grew a little older, I realized that the girl's words were always carefully considered. She knew exactly how to achieve her aims. She wasn't really so innocent of the world. That only excited me more that I watched her set fires in the imperial garden, slap a palace maid who offended her, and saw the cunningly adorable schemes hidden behind her bright doe eyes. That I was going mad. How could a woman be so adorable? Yet, at some point, a man named Chi Junhe appeared in those beautiful eyes, She sweetly called him Brother Junhe. She had never once called me Brother Baiyu. This Chi Junhe. I absolutely had to kill him. I came up with a plan to send Chi Junhe off to a remote region to teach, ensuring he wouldn't return for at least 2 years. In those 2 years, I intended to steal his home base. Unfortunately, I didn't succeed in stealing home. That little wench set her sights on the crown prince instead. Even though I knew her intentions toward the crown prince were not good, I still didn't want anyone else to appear in her eyes. That day on the flower boat, when she said she would make me emperor, a fire ignited within me. All along, out of gratitude to the emperor, I had never harbored thoughts of the throne, fearing I would taint the imperial bloodline. But if I could sit on that throne, she would finally look at me. That I would marry her, and our children would still carry the imperial lineage, so it wouldn't be tainting the bloodline at all. Suddenly, my logic became perfectly self-consistent. Jiang Yanzhu, you're the one who provoked me first. That I'll never let you go in this lifetime. Point 3. I spent 2 years at the border. In the first year, I actually came back in secret. That I missed her terribly. I personally made a bracelet as a gift for her coming-of-age ceremony. That I secretly watched her put it on. Then the crown prince approached her, his disgusting gaze falling on Aju's wrist. That I really wanted to gouge out his eyes. That Aju said, I found this bracelet while squatting over the latrine. I couldn't help but laugh silently. That innocent little face could always make others half dead with anger, and make me half dead with love. After everything was over, she started avoiding me. Even though I'd darkened several shades at the border, I made sure to take good care of my skin every day, striving for dark but not rough. That in all honesty, after returning to the capital, I shot straight to the top of the most handsome men list. That proves I've got what it takes. I barged straight into her chamber and forced her to swear an oath of eternal love with me. Extra 2. Elder sister. 1. In my last life, I died a miserable fool. That in this life, I find I'm still a fool. When I learned the crown prince had been reborn, I was so disheartened I just wanted to hang myself in the mansion and beg him to spare my family's lives. But my little sister scolded me awake. She said she would protect me. Chi Junhe? Who's that? When he showed up at my door this morning, I actually had to rack my brain to remember him. Then I saw Prince Jean, his face dark as a thundercloud, beat Chi Junhe to a pulp. God, how does he look so hot even when he's fighting? He's so tall, his legs so long, his shoulders so broad, his waist so narrow, and that Adam's apple. It totally kills me. I finally realized something. On top of being a love-struck fool, I'm also a total pervert for handsome men. Side story 4, about the past life. Jiang Fusang died in the cold palace, her body mangled beyond recognition. After her death, peace returned to the cold palace. As if the world could do without her just fine. A pair of white embroidered shoes stepped over dead leaves. Breaking the silence, the girl dressed in white quietly entered the cold palace and buried her sister's rotting corpse. Sister, how could you let yourself fall apart like this? She whispered. Why did I believe your silly letters saying you were fine in the palace? Sister, don't worry. Father isn't dead. He just lost one leg. Mother is pushing his wheelchair south of the river right now. Father spent his life in battle. It's time he saw the rivers and mountains. Brother lost one arm, but he's safe, and he won't go to war again. That he's secretly gone into business, saying if he can't conquer the battlefield, he might as well build a fortune to rival a kingdom. I caught Chi Junhe and locked him in a remote estate. He'll never escape me for the rest of his life. Sister, we're all fine. Only you aren't. Silly sister. Time passed. The cold palace was razed to the ground. A woman of breathtaking beauty set foot on that land again, bringing many people to move her sister's grave. Sister, I killed the bastard emperor. I hacked Jiang Xia to pieces. Even Mo Xue lost her mind. What other good news do you want? Oh, sister, I let Chi Junhe go. Prince Jean and I are together now. He's about to ascend the throne. You're going to be an aunt soon. The beauty gently touched her pregnant belly, while a tall man beside her rushed over to support her. Azu, don't be so sad. Sister's spirit in heaven will be happy for us too, the handsome man said, carefully cradling her barely visible bump, afraid she'd tire herself out. The former general, missing a leg, and the former young general, missing an arm, sobbed uncontrollably that a true man does not easily shed tears, only when his heart is truly broken. Years later, the one-legged former general hobbled on his cane to the imperial mausoleum with his wife, weeping bitterly, saying his only regret in life was his eldest daughter. He had defended his country all his life, and before death, his only wish was to trade all his merits for a better next life for her. Decades later, the former young general, now white-haired and wealthy enough to rival a kingdom, came again on his cane. Little sister, I'm here to see you. Your brother's made a fortune. Heaven knows that I'm willing to donate every penny I've earned. Please, I beg you, let her be reborn and start over. Several years later, the Empress died. The Emperor, devastated, followed her in death, and the two were buried together. According to historical records, the Emperor and Empress loved each other from start to end, never once apart. Side Story 5. A sweet little ending. My name is Bai Jiang. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince My father the Emperor named me Jiang, so I would guard the mountains and rivers, protect every inch of our land. But I know that Jiang is actually my mother's surname. My Empress mother is the most beautiful woman under heaven, the most virtuous, the most pure-hearted, all titles bestowed by my father. Once, when I made her angry, she slapped my palm a few times, hard. When my father learned she'd cried because of me, he left court mid-session, rushed back to the harem that was hers alone, shooed me away, and spent ages soothing her. A few days later, he sidled up to me with a sycophantic grin and said, "Son, maybe you could misbehave again." Can you believe it? An emperor, a grown man, speaking such nonsense. My mother has everything going for her, except her temper. According to my nanny, when my mother was pregnant with me, several ministers tried to send concubines to the harem. My father, calm as can be, said, "Since you gentlemen are so interested in my harem, I suspect you long for it yourselves, and no need to send beauties. Just come in person, Grand Secretary Chun, Minister Zhu, Vice Minister He. Feel free to enter the palace any day. See, look how generous my father is, inviting those uncles and grandpas to the palace to have some fun." But I never understood why those fine gentlemen ended up on their knees, trembling instead. My mother, on the other hand, has a terrible temper. That very night, she had the wheels removed from all those dear gentlemen's carriages. When I was 5, my father decided I was too annoying, so he thought he'd find me a playmate, and he started heading to my mother's palace every day after court. Not that was new. Soon after, he took my hand and placed it on mother's belly, saying there was a playmate inside. That I followed mother every day, protecting her, scared she'd drop my little playmate. A few months later, I had 2 playmates. A little brother and a little sister. My father bustled to name them. One was Baiyan, supposedly meaning study without end. One was Baiju, meaning a pearl in the palm. Our father, always fooling the kids again. Put together, our 3 names spell out our mother's name. The end.